take it on.
I'm gonna pray for you. And I want you to hold on to God's unchanging hand, because He helped Joshua fight the battle of Jericho. Yes. He helped Daniel get out the lion's den. He helped Daniel get out the lion's den. He helped Daniel get off the island. Lord,
I want to talk to you now.
It really ain't a risk. The only person sweating is you, because you have let money possess.
Shut up, bitch! Alright.
Possess you, that you don't trust me enough to give you more than you give me. Matter of fact, the deal is good on the front side, because I'm the one that gives you the ability to get wealth. I give you 100% and only ask for 10% back. Don't you think that I've got suckered instead of you? And then I'm going to take your 10% and protect your 90%. And then if you're sowing a tithe of an offering, I'm going to give you 36.
If she only give me 50%, or I let her take a half or a 60-40 cut or anything like that, see, I'm not going to be able to give her all my pimping. When she go to jail for that $5,000 bond, you know what am I going to tell her? I ain't got but $2,500. Bitch, I'm going to give you half because you gave me half? No, bitch, I'm going to give you 100%. I'm going to come reach your funky ass. That's why I got to be demanding my 100%, 110%.
Alright. Then what the fuck is up? They hollin' Pimp C back. Then what the fuck is up? Pimp C back. Then what the fuck is up? They hollin' Pimp C back. Pimp C back. Then what the fuck is up? They hollin' Pimp C back.
There are people who are, though. It seems like you could give more, even more so, with all the wealth that you have.
It would blow your mind if you knew how much money we gave per year.
I don't
Wait
doubt that.
a
I really
minute,
don't.
let
But I'm
me
saying
put
with
some
so
pimp
much
in
profit,
there.
it seems like some of that profit can
Well,
go
it's
to
not
other
as much
places.
as you think. You know, for example, I mean, there's sometimes we actually don't meet our budget to be able to do some of the things that need to be done. But there's one thing that we do. It's not like...
So if you don't meet the budget,
How do
then
you
why
give
do they
$1 million
approve
for
to buy
40 years?
Rolls Royce?
Yeah.
Well, again, I didn't approve it. The donors got together and did something that I didn't know about, and when I found out about it...
Creflo Dollar also owns several expensive cars, including a Rolls Royce.
It was a gift that my local church gave to me. You don't turn down a gift that somebody gives you.
I said, I don't want this personally. Let's keep it in the possession of the church so that when you get ready to sell it, then that money comes back to the church. You got to understand, they believe in honoring their pastor. I'm coming. I'm just as surprised as anybody.
Yeah. You say we'll be blown away by the numbers that you give to your charities. Will you make that public as Senator Grassley comes forward and asks for these documentations? Will you say we give X amount to this charity, X amount to this charity?
We've already done that. In fact, I left a document with the very man you talked about from Morehouse of the amount of money that we have given thus far in ministering to people in the community.
And you asked my final thoughts. I do have to say this because we have to move on.
Yes.
We asked everyone involved in this to come out and to have the opportunity to be interviewed on CNN.
You're the only one.
You're the only one. So I thank you for being candid.
You're welcome,
and
sir.
thank you for coming on
Appreciate
CNN
it.
today.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
This is far beyond your reach. Well, this is not a First Amendment issue whatsoever. That's not even an issue. We're not interested in doctrine. We aren't interested in what church preaches. This is a tax issue, and our committee has jurisdiction over tax law. We have tax exemption to encourage charitable giving. And we also have laws that say that nonprofits are trustees for the money, and the money that's contributed is supposed to be used for the purpose it was contributed. This isn't any different than my investigation of Smithsonian, Nature Conservancy, the Red Cross, American University, and nonprofit hospitals, and all the things that over the last 5 years my committee's been interested in. And as a practical matter, you know, tax laws have to be reviewed from time to time.
Okay, just to tell you, we spoke with reached out to these groups, a number of these mega churches for their response. I want to tell you that Paula White's ministry said they take their financial responsibility to our partners very seriously, and to the best of our knowledge, we comply with all taxes. This is possible. They're concerned about the ramifications of a precedent here. Benny Hinn's ministry says the church's board of directors is discussing the best course of response to this action. Also, let's see, we have a response from Kenneth Copeland. He says, as far as he knows, they operate in accordance with all federal and state laws as well as best practices for churches. And Joyce Meyer says that she also takes transparency in financial matters very seriously, and they're taking the necessary steps to apply for this. I have to ask you this, and also, of course, just maybe about an hour or so ago on this show, Creflo Dollar responded, and he said that you already have most of the information from him that you're asking for. Let's take a listen to what he said.
Okay.
The IRS has already been given the responsibility to do these things. And now the question is, you take the Senate Finance Committee and you have to question, do they have a right to invest themselves or to ingest themselves in a position to be tax examiners for exempt organizations when the IRS has already been given that responsibility. And so we've always said at the very beginning that we have no problems if it's a valid request, and you know, we comply with the IRS.
Do you have the right, Senator?
Well, of course we have the right, and now here's just an example. You know, they're inferring, and maybe correctly so, and I hope correctly so, that the IRS has looked and everything's all right. We have been looking at these things for about 5 months, and we're just now involving the ministries. We're sending out the letters. They have a chance to speak for themselves, and what you quoted seems to be very positive, that they want to cooperate with us, and so I would fully expect them, like the Red Cross has fully complied, to answer our letters, and we'll get to it. Now, the IRS doesn't do everything perfect. For instance, when Enron blew up 6 or 7 years ago, IRS was saying everything was okay, but we got all the corporate tax records, and we told the IRS a lot of things that they didn't know.
And Senator, you know, you're exactly right on that, the IRS and that, whatever. I'll give you that because you know more about that than most, I would assume. But also, it seems they're not governed by the same rules when it comes to taxes as churches are and as nonprofits are. And I think it's Paula White's ministry brings up a very good point about this setting a precedent, and they're concerned about the ramifications. When you look at the Catholic Church, one of the largest property holders in the country, are you about to look at their books as well?
We have not had any complaints about that, and you know, if you came to me as a whistleblower and you had information that law was being violated, I think I have a responsibility to look into it. We have whistleblower protection laws. It's that important to get information from whistleblowers, and you know, we fully investigate. But the bottom line of it is, this is a tax issue, and yes, corporate tax law is different than nonprofit tax law, but there's no difference between the Red Cross, Smithsonian as one type of nonprofit, okay, and these ministries as another type of nonprofit. The same law applies.
I want to get a couple things before we run out of time, because you know the president cut a big chunk of our time, and we respectfully deferred to the president. But I want to ask you, do you plan on sending any other letters to any other ministries? Yes or no?
The answer right now is no.
Okay.
But you should ask me that on December the 7th when I get the deadlines reached for these 6 to respond.
Are you going to hold hearings on these matters?
You'll have to ask me on December the 7th or later after we go through this material, but I can tell you most of the time, In fact, all the time with specific organizations, we've never had to hold a hearing on a specific organization because they've all fully cooperated.
Real quick, you consider changing any laws, any legislation on this, and then what happens if they don't respond?
Okay, if they don't respond, then that might be a condition for Senate hearings.
Okay, and what about laws? Possible change of legislation or laws?
Right now, no change of laws, because what we find in a lot of instances, IRS isn't doing its job. You don't have to change the law, you have to enforce existing law.
All right, Senator Chuck Grassley from Iowa, we appreciate you joining us today in the CNN Newsroom.
Sure.
Man, I be sharp every day. I said if the police come in here right now and they said he came in here to arrest a pimp, who you think he gonna take? Me. Because I'm the sharpest.
If it had not been for the Lord, I wouldn't have had another bitch come into my life. Not another.